y'all, Sai here. This is the view from the shop window in Eastern Oregon. Someday I'll be working on projects while looking out at this view, but for now, we are still working on the shop. So in this video, we are putting epoxy on 600 square feet of the shop floor. It is a new floor, but we cleaned it anyway because we had some paint, joint compound, dirt, and dust on it already. Gibbs was really good about staying off of the wet floor, but Wally wanted to be right there in it with us. So when we started putting the etch down, I had to tie them up on the other side of the shop. After applying the etch, we had to wash it off, so husband sprayed it off with the hose and I used a squeegee to push the standing water away. To let the floor dry, we took off for about 30 minutes or so. Once it was dry, I used a paintbrush and applied the epoxy to the edges, and husband started rolling it on. It was really easy to apply this stuff, and I was surprised. My job was to sprinkle the slip-resistant chips on too, and the directions said you didn't have to use the chips, but we wanted to. The epoxy comes in 2 cans that have to be mixed together, and after mixing it, it has to sit for 45 minutes before applying it. The working time depends on the temperature, and we had 2 hours working time with the temperature around 60 on this day. We were being careful with the materials because the box said the epoxy would cover between 400 and 600 square feet. It also said to apply 1 coat only, so husband was rolling sparingly and I was sprinkling lightly. And when we got to the last 10 by 10 block, we had a lot of material left. And looking back over the floor that we had just finished, we could see that there were areas that looked too thin. So husband rolled a little thicker coat on the last square, and I tried to sprinkle flakes back over as far as I could throw onto the stuff that was already completed. These flakes are as light as air, so they wouldn't travel far, but I discovered that throwing it like confetti actually made it land much more evenly. After a little while, Wally and Gibbs settled down and just laid in their little bed while we continued to work, and I kept checking on them. We learned a lot doing this first 600 square feet, and now since have finished the rest of the floor. The directions said to keep a portion to the side so when you mix up a new batch, you can add some of the first batch to it, making the color more consistent. And this would work great if we were completing the floor in 1 day, but since we came back a week later to finish, we couldn't keep some mixed and waiting because it only has that 2-hour working time. So with all that said, and knowing we could now put it on a bit thicker, the other half of the shop floor looks a bit darker than this first half that we did. But it's a shop floor, and we know we're going to like it anyway. This was really good practice for us since we want to do it on our garage floor too. We really like how it looks. I'm curious to find out how it cleans up once we have everything all set up in the shop. And we've always wanted to do an epoxy floor, so we finally did. And it was easy. So thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you next time.